Hi, I'm Lauren Hamilton, accountant for therapist. Today, I wanted to go over a checklist that I put together for your year end accounting. So, whether you've been keeping up with it all year or you're like most of us who keep putting it off, you're starting to think about, oh, I probably should look at that stuff. This is going to be a checklist to help you get all of those things in order and to make sure that you've got everything ready for your tax preparer when it does come to tax season time. The first thing that you're going to want to look at and do is make sure all of your transactions are accounted for. And what I mean by that is making sure that all of your bank accounts, credit card accounts, or any other accounts that you use during the year for money transactions are all in your system. And by system, I mean QuickBooks, Xero, or even a spreadsheet, however you're organizing your transactions for the year. Just make sure all of those are accounted for. So if you have any months that are missing or if there's duplicates of anything, just make sure that you're catching all of those. The second thing that's going to help you with this is reconciling all of your accounts. So, all that means is taking those bank statements or your credit card statements and making sure that the balances that are on those statements match what you have in your system. If they don't, that's where you might have missing items or duplicate items. And so that's how you can catch those. So, if you're doing this for the year end, you'll just want to make sure that those balances for December 31st are in your system correctly. The next thing that you're going to want to do is categorize and clean up. So, what I mean by this is as you're looking through your transactions and you're categorizing them as to what type of expense they are or if they're an income item, you just want to make sure that you are consistent with those and you're putting things in those correct buckets. So just making sure office supplies are really office supplies. Is meals and entertainment really meals and entertainment? Because if you have some of those in the wrong account, you could be missing out on tax deductions, like meals and entertainment, for instance. You can only take 50% of those items. So if you have anything that's in there that's not a meals and entertainment, then you're going to be missing out on that 50%. So you just kind of want to make sure that everything is in the correct account and that everything's accounted for. The next thing that you're going to want to do is review your owner's pay and distributions. So if you are a Schedule C filer, you're not going to have payroll for yourself, but you will have probably made distributions or draws to yourself to pay yourself from the business into your personal account. So you just want to make sure that those are in your distribution account. And anything that you might have paid personally that was a business expense, make sure those are in there too. Because sometimes, and we've all done this, we're, online getting something and we use our personal card instead of our business card. So we just want to make sure all of those are accounted for so that you can get those deductions. The next thing that you're going to do is prepare your year end reports. And what I mean by that is your income statement or profit and loss statement and a balance sheet. So your tax preparer is going to want to see your income statement from January 1st through December 31st to give them that whole year's worth of income statement information. The balance sheet you're going to want to run just for December 31st. Since it's a cumulative report, December 31st is going to capture all of the year's activity. An optional report that you may want to run, which I generally like to look at as well, is a general ledger. And this is going to show you all of the detail that goes into those accounts. So if you run that from January 1st through December 31st, it's going to give you all of those details. So that way, if your tax preparer is going through and needs to make an adjustment or needs to make sure that they have the balances correct, they'll be able to go through that report and find those items that they might need. The next thing you're going to want to do is collect all of your tax documents. So if you yourself have received 1099s from other therapists or other, contract work that you might have done throughout the year, you'll want to gather that. The other 1099 that you will need is a 1099K, which will come from your credit card processor. So if you're taking credit card payments for your counseling or therapy sessions, group therapy sessions, anything like that, that your credit card processor should send you a 1099-K to show you all of the transactions or totals that they have processed for you during the year. All of the 1099s should be sent to you by the end of January, so just be on the lookout for those when that time comes. Some other tax documents that you're probably going to want to need to get for your tax preparer are loan statements, mileage logs if you have any, and then any depreciation info. So if you've, purchased a new computer, or if you purchased new furniture for your office, anything like that, just make sure you have those receipts ready for them, so that way they can make sure they get the depreciation set up correctly for you on your tax return. The next thing that you're going to want to go through, now that you've reconciled everything, you've gone through all of your transactions and looked at the categories, you've gathered your tax documents, the last thing you'll really want to do is just review those reports that you've pulled. Just look for any negative balances that maybe shouldn't be negative, any unusual spikes or gaps in expenses or income. So let's say you're looking at this year versus 2024, and in 24 you had $250 for office expenses, and this year you had $2,500. You might want to just look at that and just make sure, is that right? Because maybe there's something in there that you overlooked or you thought was in office supplies. Maybe it should go somewhere else, or maybe you legitimately had that much in office supplies. So just kind of doing a double check and just looking for those red flag areas. The last thing that you're going to want to do is, now that you've gotten everything together, is create a folder. This can be on your online file room, or if your tax preparer has a portal that they share with you, you could put all of that there. But just somewhere that you can label year-end documents, and then put all of those documents into that folder, so that way they can get to them. That's going to be really helpful for them and for you in the long run. I would also put in there any notes on special transactions or anything like that. So let's say, your office supplies example, that you did put something in there that you weren't quite sure if it should be office supplies or if it should be something else. Maybe you can make a note of that to them, so that way they can advise you on how they would enter it. And that's it. So now that you've done all of that, you can celebrate and sit back and get ready for tax season, knowing that you've got everything prepared and you're starting off on the right track. And your tax preparer is just going to love having all of that together, so that way when they, get started in January, February, they'll be so impressed that you've got everything ready for them. I help my clients with this quite a bit, year-end accounting, and I want to help you too if you have any questions. So please reach out to me. If you do have questions, you can find me at openbooks.llc. You can also email me at lauren@openbooks.llc. All of this will also be in the show notes below, but I hope you found this helpful, and thank you for taking the time to be with me today. And I hope to hear from you soon, and be well.